Only to introduce Christian. Christian is talking from Strasbourg. He's the secretary of the Committee of Artificial Intelligence in Strasbourg. He has been one of the architects of the treaty of the Committee of the Council of Europe has developed. I think the keynote that he will give us is very interesting in terms of understanding the thoughts of the regulator. Okay, thank you, Christian. Then go on, please.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's a great honor for me to speak to you and address the Democracy for All forum today. Ladies and gentlemen, the last couple of years have witnessed a truly impressive increase in the capacities of artificial intelligence systems and a just as impressive democratization of the technology. Anyone with access to a computer or a smartphone can make use of various forms of AI systems, such as large language models, other forms of generative AI, and create content. AI comes with great promise for innovation in science, in education, in healthcare, in business, in administration, and it is likely to revolutionize how we interact and communicate with each other. But AI also comes with a darker side. It may be used to undermine democratic processes, including by spreading lies and fake news. It can be used for surveillance purposes, to control the population and marginalize any political protest. It may be biased in decision making and lead to breaches of human rights. Activities throughout the life cycle of an AI system may interfere with personal data protection rules. Let me underline that it is not the technology per se that poses these problems. We should not fear the algorithms, but we should be in which context they are being developed and used. Council of Europe in close cooperation has elaborated a new framework convention on artificial intelligence and human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. In 2019, the Council of Europe set up a committee to examine the need and feasibility of regulating AI in international law. This committee, known as CAHAI, issued a feasibility study in 2020, concluding that such a need indeed existed. In 2021, the CAHAI also issued a document outlining the main elements that could be included in a legally binding treaty on AI and human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. In 2022, the CAHAI was replaced by a new committee on AI called CAI, which was instructed by the Committee of Ministers to establish an international negotiation process for the purpose of elaborating inter alia a legally binding treaty on AI. On the 14th of March 2024, the CAI successfully finalized the negotiations of the draft framework convention on artificial intelligence and human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. In addition to the member states of the organization, 11 non-member states participated in the negotiations. The EU, the European Union, represented its member states in these negotiations. As you know, the EU has the AI Act, and that means that the EU also has the competence to negotiate international treaties in this area on behalf of its member states. 68 representatives of civil society, industry, academia, and international and regional organizations also contributed to the shaping of this new treaty to make the process as participatory and inclusive as possible. The treaty has been adopted by the Committee of Ministers on the 17th of May 2024 and was open for signature and ratification in Vilnius, Lithuania on the 5th of September. It received at that point in time 10 signatures, including that of the European Union and also of the United States of America. It is now 11 signatures, as Montenegro has recently joined among the states that have signed the convention. It will need a total of 5 ratifications, 3 of which must be from Council of Europe member states to enter into force. And we expect that this is likely to happen in 2026. It is our hope that this The world's first international treaty on AI will in due time become the global standard for regulating the development and use of AI systems in human rights, democracy, and rule of law sensitive contexts. The principles contained in the Framework Convention are applicable to both public and private sector AI systems. These principles include respect for human dignity and individual autonomy, transparency and oversight, accountability and responsibility, and that includes also criminal responsibility, equality and non-discrimination, privacy and personal data protection, reliability, and then also a principle relating to safe innovation. The Framework Convention does not create new human rights specific to AI, but ensures that all existing human rights, including those relating to the protection of personal data, will prevail also in situations where an AI system is involved in taking or informing decisions. The challenges that the AI technology pose to society cannot be meaningfully addressed at domestic or even regional levels only. To be efficient, there must be a global legal framework creating a level playing field for all relevant actors across regions and providing for international cooperation. And this is exactly what the Council of Europe's Framework Convention offers. It is often alleged that regulation constitutes a hindrance for technological innovation and the resulting economic growth. This is, however, manifestly not the case if the regulation in question is sufficiently targeted and calibrated. On the contrary, such regulation may rather improve the chances of economic growth because it favors responsible innovation and allows for societies to make use of the technology without having to fear unintended consequences in the form of abuse and misuse by the state or by a private entity. We are facing a digital divide globally, and the uneven access to AI technology across the world's various regions makes us now and in the future. It is our aim with the Framework Convention to contribute to the bridging of this divide. Let me end this keynote speech by underlining my belief that new and emerging digital technologies, such as AI, will ultimately prove to be of benefit for humanity. AI technology offers economic and scientific development to societies across the globe. But as humanity, we must at the same time beware of the temptation to uncritically rely on the technology. Above all, we must not let ourselves be seduced by the capacities offered by the technology. AI technology, used responsibly, benefits us. Used irresponsibly, it may contribute to undermining our human rights, our democratic processes, and the rule of law. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christian. Let me first introduce John Rodriguez Sens, please, if you want to explain your background.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm John Rodriguez. Thanks for the invitation. First of all, I'm a data protection and artificial intelligence AI lawyer in ethics. Ethics is a law firm here in Barcelona and in Madrid that we adapt our clients to the GDPR or now to the AI Act. And this area, the artificial intelligence, now we have a lot of clients that use that kind of systems, and then they come to us or they come to another law firms because, as I have heard in the panel about blockchain, is it true that sometimes the regulation is reactive, sometimes not, maybe always, but we are trying to adapt the necessities and adapt this innovation that have our clients to the reality and to comply with the GDPR and now with the AI Act.
Yeah, maybe people or maybe laws goes faster than we want, no? With technological people want. Christian, can you make a brief of objectives and functions of the European AI Council? Further than legislate, there are another functionalities, executive or something like that. Christian, can you hear me?
Sorry, I think I lost it a little bit. Perhaps you can just repeat.
Sure, don't worry. I was asking for the key objectives and functions of the European AI Council. There were there goes farther than legislate, and they have an executive role or following the application of the rules.
You mean in I mean we follow, of course, the application of the rules that that are in the framework convention. I would say you should, but this is done not like with the AI office in Brussels. We do not legislate directly and do not replace the national authorities, but we have there will be a what is it called? A conference of the parties. Sorry, there will be a conference of the parties that will follow the implementation of the convention and will interact on a regular basis also with the civil society organizations, with the industry and others, to see if the convention is properly implemented or if there are problems in the way that it is being dealt with. Thank you. I think that hopefully provides a little bit more of explanation in this regard, but it's not, and it will also assess the implementation by the state. So, but we do not. There will not be an authority that will tell states, "Oh, you haven't done this, so you will get a fine."
Yeah, I imagine that it should be really, really difficult to legislate something that is difficult to imagine in a few years, not in 10 or 20 years. In 3 or 5 years, it's difficult to imagine. How you approach to make this legislation? What are the key points, or how can you imagine that and avoid that this legislation could be disfaced in a short term?
Yes, and that is the way we did this is actually by making sure that the convention is very general and is focused on the legal principles rather than on concrete cases of use. If you remember, there was a lot of discussion in relation to, for instance, the publication of the draft AI Act at the time, the proposal by the Commission. There was discussion about, how to, if we should not, if we could not, or if you should not indeed prohibit certain specific uses of AI systems, such as facial recognition, emotional recognition. There would be other, and a number of other, deep fake, of course, these kind of things. Now, our concern was that even though there may be good reason to prohibit some, not all, but some of these AI use cases, and there may be some, and at least in certain contexts, it may not be appropriate to have that. We would be concerned to have, for instance, in the convention, direct red lines or prohibitions of specific uses. For the simple reason that we do not know what is a problem in the future. We know the problem of today, but we don't, as you very rightly said, we don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, not to mention 2 years or 5 years. I mean, this is something where the technology moves so much faster than in other areas. Just to give you an example, when we started out the negotiations in 2022, we had one definition of an AI system that was globally accepted in the OECD, and during our negotiations, that definition changed. So we had to, because AI systems evolved, so we had to take into account a new definition towards the end of the negotiations than the one that we had originally considered. And it's something that of course is a cause for some concern, because if we need to change all the time international treaties, that is a very difficult thing to do. So we would like to avoid that and instead try to focus on the overarching legal principles that should govern AI systems, regardless of which particular technological developments or use cases we see. What we do have in the convention in terms of red lines, though, is that there is a general obligation for states to look into use cases and to, as necessary, prohibit them if certain uses of AI systems, if they interfere with human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, and that interference cannot be mitigated.
Yeah, I think also it's very difficult thing to regulate this kind of area, because sometimes you have to balance the innovation with the social rights of the people. For example, we have in the GDPR or here in Spain that we can treat biometric data, or we can treat this kind of data, but in some specific context. And then, is it true that this area changed so fast, but also we have to take care of the social rights or the rights of the people, because we can't allow very aggressive treatment for the data of people, because we want this innovation. And then it's a very difficult task because of that, because you have to adapt very quickly the situation, that the context that we are living, but also we have to take care of the rights of the people. Then that's my point of view, that because it's a difficult area, because you are treating data, and which data are you treating? If you are treating sensible data, you have to take care, and maybe an AI system, it's not possible for that kind of data. Then it's why this area also it's complicated to regulate.
Yes, and you, John, as a lawyer, it's obvious that it's a very good thing to have a clear framework to work with, but how you would apply this law with your clients in a hypothetical example? It's based in jurisprudence, or it's based in how will you do it?
Well, when we have a client that wants to use an AI system for some treatment in the company, it's true that now we have AI Act, and the focus is in this law. But first of all, we have to go to the GDPR and know what the GDPR allows to do for the client. Then we have to go to the basic principles of the GDPR, and then we have to analyze which kind of data we will treat with the AI system. And when we have a photo of the treatment, we can start to adapt this AI system to the necessities of the client. And also we have to take care of the security measures, because we have to prevent all the risks that this kind of system can have to the people, to the persons. And then we have in the GDPR, when we talk about global regular law of artificial intelligence, if we go to the 5th chapter of the GDPR, and when we talk about the international transference, it could be a little bit difficult to think about an international law of artificial intelligence or data protection. Also, because not so long ago, we had the agreement with the US for the international transfer of data, and it's just a international transfer data. We are not talking about AI or something similar. Then it's a little bit difficult because we live in a global world and with a global market, and we have a lot of company outside the European Union and that works in AI, and they have another regulations, maybe stronger or not. And we have to play with the rules under the European Union, that there are rules that protect the people from aggressive treatment, but we have to balance this situation And when a client wants to apply, for example, a AI system from another country of the UA, it could be difficult because we enter in that in international transfers and which kind of data we will treat and everything related with the treatment.
Yeah, thinking about the AI, there are two big players. There are the big ones, Microsoft, Google, and so on, and there are the small companies that uses AI, they uses their services, and they apply uses cases and applications. This AI is thinking more in the big ones or in the small and medium enterprises that uses that, and if because the majority of people or majority of the companies are small and medium companies, and these are further of the legislation, laws, lawyers, and so on. Which is the concern for these small and medium companies? They have to be worried about something, or what are the main keys that they have to consider? Yeah, Christian?
Thank you. I think that it is something that is really worth considering. As I told you, we had the representatives of industry being present during the negotiations as well. And I think that first of all, we should bear in mind that the industry is really interested in having a global regulation of AI. This technology is not, if you have to adapt it, let's put it like this, the other way around, if you have to adapt the technology to each of the regions that you are operating in, market by market, it will be very expensive and very difficult for industry to roll out any large systems globally. And that, of course, we would, in one way or the other, that would also mean that we would have not access in all parts of the world to the same versions of the of an AI system. Now, that in itself would be a problem. I think also one should bear in mind that large companies, the big IT companies, I mean, they have an army of lawyers. They can well afford very complicated regulation, and actually it may to some degree benefit them because it does away with the smaller competition. But it's not just the large companies that we would like to benefit here. We would like to benefit all companies that are sticking to the let's say within a certain legal framework and are applying the rules that we think should be applied in order to protect our societies. Um, but it should not be a question that you have such a burdensome regulation that in the end it makes it almost impossible to run your company, to market your products, or to indeed create innovation. I think innovation is really the key here. Innovation should be safe, and this is also why we have a principle of safe innovation. But you must allow some kind of, you cannot treat innovation in the same way as you will do with a final and finalized EAI system. The requirements cannot be the same because otherwise you will not be able to innovate at all. So I think all of these are balances that have to be taken into account. As I said in my keynote, I think it's important to remember that regulation is not per se anything bad for a market, but it must be targeted, it must be well calibrated, it must take into account what are the risks that we want to protect against, and also at the same time, what are the issues, what are the areas where we like to further something. And we do want to further innovation, but we don't want innovation to be the master necessarily of all the processes. We think that there is a societal interest that comes first in some cases.
According to innovation, do you think that, well, in this case, there are many laws that people are waiting for that. People are waiting for them. In this case, there are a lot of consensus that is absolutely necessary to make a framework regulation around that. could be a stopper for the innovation in the companies, or vice versa. It's something good for the innovation.
Yeah, I think that it could be a stopper for the innovation in the companies, because in other areas of law, for example, in employer law, there are areas that there are for a long time in our companies, and there are normal laws, and we work with them every time, and it's a common situation. But when we talk about AI or data protection, that there are new laws, not new, but they are starting to add some articles about disruptive technologies and AI. People in the companies that have to implement these systems are usually engineers or technical people, that there are a little bit, not a little bit, but there are a gap between these people and the lawyers, for example, because there are two different areas that have now to work together. Um, we can see with a lot of clients that they have a lot of new technologies. They want to implement new technologies to improve their products or to improve another areas, and then they start to create this system, and then after create the AI system, they ask to the legal department, and then we find that, okay, then we have to start to analyze this AI system, but you already create that system. Then I think that the culture in the companies have to change, and they have to work together between the technical people, the engineers, the informatics, and the lawyers to do this way at the same time. And when we have the final product, the final AI system, then we can implement in the company without any problem and following the regulation.
Okay. And in the last panel, they were talking about the quality of data, the truth of the content that especially generative AI disposes and work with that. How with all the work done, there are a lot of data that it's not true, and how can you work with that? What can you do with all the work done until now? It's something that we should review again, or what?
If I may, I think it's important to bear in mind that, of course, to be meaningful, the regulation should cover all aspects, all relevant aspects of the life cycle of an AI system. So essentially, from the moment that you are um, designing the AI system onto the moment that you're decommissioning it. And what happens with the data after you have decommissioned the AI system is also something that we need to look into. These data sets, are they then being used in other AI systems? Are they being destroyed? Are they being taken over somewhere? Where are they disposed of in a certain manner? All of this is something that we need to look into. There can be problems, legal problems in all of this. It was mentioned before that there is often a gap between the technical people and the legal people, and I think that is indeed very, very true. You have engineers, IT engineers, who will create a system, and you have lawyers who will try to put some kind of limitations on it, on the creation of that. And if they do not speak together in a meaningful manner, then of course you have problems. One of the things I think is very important is really that we make these AI systems safe by design. So it's something that where it's important to bring in the IT engineers at an early stage, not as afterthought. Okay, this is perhaps not working legally speaking, so now we need to change something. the legal concepts, the protection of human rights, the protection of democracy, the protection of rule of law principles, there needs to be something, a kind of checklist that can be used also by technical people to see what we are working on. Is it something that could be an AI system that pose a risk? Or is it not? I mean, most AI systems do not pose a risk, but some do, and it depends also very much on the use cases. So one of the things we're working on right now in the Council of Europe, after having done this framework convention, which we very much hope will be, as I said, the global benchmark for how to regulate AI in certain, or at least certain aspects of AI. We are now working on a risk and impact management methodology, which we call Huderia. It will be ready by the end of this year, actually, almost probably be finalized next week, and the upcoming 12th meeting of the plenary meeting of the CHI. The idea is to have a very detailed methodology that will help everyone, regulator, innovator, engineer, company, user, to see if the AI system they are dealing with poses risks, and if there are such risks, how they can be mitigated. This will not be a legally binding instrument. It will be a tool that will be made available on a voluntary basis for states to introduce or use. But we believe it's right now probably the only tool we have to somehow make sure that IT technical people used to technical standards also actually speak to the people who do the legal standards, because there is a huge area of interaction.
Yeah, and I think that it's also important how you train the AI. We know that in internet you can find a lot of deepfake data, and when your AI system needs to be trained by public data, it's important your criteria, because finally, if you sell your AI system to another company, if your criteria to train the AI system, it's not the best criteria, and you follow the deep fakes, maybe your product it's not the best product in the market. Then I think that this human factor, that how I train my AI system, it's important, because how you train this system, it will be the result of a good AI system or a not very good AI system, and then in the market you will suffer, or you will enjoy your AI system because or you train well or not.
Okay. What are doing other countries, China especially, and US? Have you collaborated with them, and or in which point they are? Because obviously we are in a world, in a global world, and our sources are from everywhere. No, what are they doing? On you have collaborated with them? What's the situation?
As I said, the United States is actually a signatory to this framework convention, so it will be bound if they, at some point, hopefully, ratify the convention. Then they will be bound by the same rules as the European Union. The European in this regard, because the European Union will implement the framework convention through the AI Act as the main instrument for transposition at the European Union level. But the US will also be party to it. We expect that other states will join as well. In the future, we are working with a number of states from all over the world: Latin America, Asia Pacific, with African states, all to see how to get as many states on board on this regulation as is possible. So the idea is to have a real global instrument with a comprehensive approach to how you deal with the as I said, the darker sides or the dark of using AI systems, and to have a common understanding of that. There's also, and I think that's clear, there is also in this regard, from the Council of Europe side, we are of course looking to democracies. We are looking at, because of the potential for these AI systems to be used for suppressing political dissent. We are looking very much to other democracies around the world to see how we can strengthen the let's say the political response to the way that AI systems can be abused, and is being abused today by certain states. But there is, generally speaking, much more need for cooperation across the board. Political differences unset. We need to have more cooperation. We need to have better understanding. But above all, I believe that the idea that the issues with the world is facing with regard to AI can be solved through non-binding ethical guidelines or frameworks. That is perhaps not the most efficient way. The efficient way in terms of safeguarding the rights of citizens, our own rights, is actually by ensuring that there's a legally binding framework for dealing with that.
Would you say, Christian, that Europe is leading this cooperation with is leading the role of the AI nowadays and leading this cooperation?
Sorry, I was just needed to get back on. Yes, I would say that we have taken lead, but it's not Europe as such that takes the lead. I would say that we are the initiators to the process, but it's important that the process is owned by everyone who participates in it. And I think it's the idea that everything we do in Europe will sooner or later be copied in the rest of the world is no longer true. We need to prove that that what we have is something that can be used globally in order for it to have a global application. And that also means that there are certain issues which are very European, of course. They may have to be played down a bit in that kind of cooperation. But the point is, I would put it a little bit rather around. We are maybe very advanced on regulation, but we're not very advanced on the technology. The main producers of AI systems and the main exporters of AI systems outside of Europe. So our citizens here in Europe are at the receiving end of what is being produced in other states. And that's why it's important to bind in as many states as possible around the world in a global framework that they can co-own and feel bound by the way we will like to be bound by it in order for us to protect our European citizens, and at the same time also ensure that citizens in other parts of the world enjoy the same rights of protection as Europeans do.
I wanted to introduce a question on this panel that it concerns me these last weeks or months, that I've seen one of the major projects of larger language models, that is Anthropic, launching an idea that I find quite interesting, okay? That is constitutional AI. This idea is to embed in the, let's say, the learning of the model, and then on the answer of the model as a triangle, taking account this constitutional AI. My question to you three, but mainly also to Christian, if it's the council thinking of a solution like this, like embedding in the models a mandatory constitution, let's say, shared by everyone in the world. And as I am blockchain man, I see that this constitution can be on the blockchain immutable forever. No? Do you think that is a solution? Because what I see that the regulation is always behind. But if we go to the path of, say, in your code should be embedded, should be hard-coded, this constitution, and will be monitored that the AI is working with this constitution that is shared by everybody, the human rights, I don't know. Could be that a solution? Anthropic is launching now?
Maybe I can start then replying at least. I
Yeah.
think we're not there yet. I think from a, I mean, it's an interesting idea. It's a very interesting idea. But I think for right now, our main focus is rather on ensuring that we have a common minimum ground that between the states that will regulate this in the end,
Okay.
and that we have an understanding what we consider to be acceptable uses, acceptable principles to be applied in the design and use and throughout all the phases, the different of the life cycle of an AI system. What are the principles that we should have there? And we have already, in a way, tried to enumerate them in this framework convention. I don't know if it's possible in the future, probably to put in, this kind of safeguards directly into the code. Why not? It would probably solve some issues. It would make sure that AI systems cannot be abused, that they would not, there were certain things certain tasks they would not perform under certain conditions. Why not? I think that's maybe actually the solution for the future. But for right now, I think just getting the states to agree on what is acceptable use is already a big step forward. As I said, there are a lot of competing thinking. There's a lot of competing policy thinking around the world about how you regulate AI, how much you should regulate, and what is harmful uses and what is not harmful uses. And a lot of it depends on your political system and your ideology. If you are a democracy, I think that what you would like to avoid is that AI systems are being used to undermine our political freedoms, including that they are not being used to somehow dissolve the glue that keeps a democratic society together, namely the fact that we can trust in our politicians, for instance, and not maybe trust that they will do everything right, but that they at least are the persons that we see and that they say the things that they say. Deep fakes there, I think, is a very real risk to a democracy, because if you cannot trust that your prime minister is that what you see on TV is your prime minister and not an AI generated spook, that's something that in the end means that you pave the way for distrust in democracy, and that leads, if we can put it like that, historically at least, that is the road towards dictatorship. So I'm very concerned about these uses, for instance, of AI. I'm also concerned, of course, about other human rights issues that can come up. But the AI, I think that's important to say, is that the AI may be a disruptor because of the capacities it offers, but it's not that it does something completely new. All the risks we see in relation to AI systems are pre-existing risks. It's only that AI enforces those risks to a degree that has been difficult to see before.
Okay. You have any idea about what I said? You heard about or?
Yes, I think that right now is a little bit difficult because you have to cooperate with all the countries around the world, and all the countries around the world have different legislations. And when we analyze the legislation, the laws here in Europe about data protection and about AI, the UA regulations are the regulations that offers more guarantees for the users. But in another countries, that's not happens, and they treat the data more aggressive. And here we have this situation that they it's more important to protect the human rights of the people, and that's why we have this kind of regulation. But in another countries, I don't know, for example, the US that use the data, they use massive data for training AI systems, and they play with another rules because they don't have this kind of regulation. It's so difficult to say to them, okay, you have to follow the legislation that we want to implement in AI, and we will you are doing this thing with your users. You are innovating, but you are not innovating under our rules. You have to stop to your innovation and follow our rules. That's a little bit complicated right now, because this is situation that are better for them, and then if they have to change this situation, they now I think they don't want to change the situation, because it's that they are playing with another rules, and it's good for them.
What comes to my mind, Kirsa, is we are always thinking how to regulate the AI, how where to put the limits, the age of the different use cases. But maybe the question, especially here in Democracy for All, is how can AI help democracy? And probably there are a lot of places to get it, and it's a good place to start to think about that.
Yeah, and it's a good place to
Yeah.
for the last question. No, I don't know if you talked about this positive view of you, Albert.
No,
I,
no.
I agree, because we are very risk oriented.
Maybe Christian.
Eh?
Maybe Christian has an answer for that.
How you think that democracy can be helped by this technology?
I think it can be used to
Mm.
make democratic processes much more inclusive. I mean, AI systems can really, I think technology can be used to assist the electorate in communicating more efficiently with the politicians and vice versa. So in some sense, I believe that just one example, that it can make our democratic processes more inclusive. It will also be easier, for instance, if you have an AI system that is taking care of categorizing the debates in your parliament and making them publicly available. It will also be easier for the public to follow what is happening with issues that are of interest to them, particularly in the political process. So all things being equal, I believe overall this is something that offers very, very good solutions. We should not be concerned about the technology because we don't really understand all parts of it, or because we do not, or we are a bit afraid that of what it can be used. I think it has a lot of good sides to it, but we should not be uncritical. We should remain really vigilant about that, about how we use it. We should not, and also about how it's being used. I would put it more like in ways that are not obvious, but can obviously so, but can be still nevertheless conducive to a decrease in democracy. I'll give you an example. If you have an AI system that can easily detect people, and at the same time you use this in combination with facial recognition, for instance, and you make sure that you have such an AI system combined with the CCTV system, so that you can, in a pop, the information, the police, they can check who is there, what are they doing. Maybe they will not do anything about it, maybe they will. And it depends a bit on the political system that you have, etc., etc. But the mere fact that you are being recorded and that everybody knows that you were at this demonstration could make some people consider, should I go there? Should I really make my voice heard in this context? Same thing on the internet. And I think that kind of stifling of the public debate is dangerous for democracies. But at the same time, the algorithm is neither good nor bad. It's can be used also to promote a more integrated version of democracy than we have today, more inclusive.
Okay.
Yes, there is a thing that I have listened in the last panel about the newsletters, that are all the newsletters perfect or not political or not from the right or from the left. It's also how you use the AI. If you use in the correct way, of course, will help the democracy. But if you don't use that in this correct way, maybe of course it's not beneficial for the people that around the world finally, because in this world we will being affected by the AI, or now or in the future. And when you read the GDPR or the AI Act, there is always a thing that that says the articles that it's always respecting the human rights. When you do a treatment, when you use an AI system, always respecting the human rights. Then our European regulation always think about the human rights, and that's a important thing for our democracy, because we don't forget that, and we will always now preserve and take care of the rights of the people. And that's important thing from the democracy and how it's regulated now.
Yes, of course. That's the base where we should start from there, no? Always, no? But unfortunately, it's not always
Yes.
like this.
Okay, we are finishing, arriving at the end of the panel. Thank you very much, Christian, for your time. The next time, if it's possible, you enjoy Barcelona. That is, you know, that is.
Thank you very much for having me. I will be delighted to come next time.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.